Hi everyone, my name's Cameron Buchanan. I'm the head coach and founder of the International Day Trading Academy. Now, we are very privileged today and very honored to have Minah Kim, who's the Senior Director and Head of Asia Pacific Equity and Cryptocurrency Products for the CME Group. So, welcome Minah.
Hello, hi.
Thank you for joining us today in this interview to enlighten us a little bit more about the CME products.
Having me today.
That's so good to have you here. So we've got a lot of traders in our trading community, and particularly traders in Asia and in Australia that are trading the equity index products on the CME. Can you tell us a little bit more about the products that if people are interested in trading the futures markets, what products are available, and I guess what are the benefits of those products?
Sure. I'll start with what equity index products that we offer on CME. CME is the largest derivatives exchanges in the world, and we offer the full suite of US benchmark equity index futures and options. Just which is kind of probably relevant to the audience here today is our four benchmark products, which is kind of represented by like S&P 500, Nasdaq 100, and Dow Jones Index, and also Russell 2000. Those are the four kind of benchmark products that we offer. And we actually
Right.
started this journey from long ago, like few decades ago. So we had our actually first like an S&P 500 futures back in like 1982. And then we
Wow.
launched the E-mini S&P 500, which is one-fifth a smaller size compared to a standard size, like back in like 1997. And then that was a time when S&P 500 index was somewhere around 1,000. And imagine what like nowadays S&P 500 is trading about over 5,000, right? And we kind of
Yes.
understood the demands from the professional investors and the smaller size funds and the institutional investors. So we actually launched a micro size e-mini like futures back in 2019, right before the pandemic. And guess what? This micro E-mini index futures are the most successful product launch in CME's 180 years history because from day one, it was so demanding. We had a first day one volume of more than 310,000 contracts. So, since then, we are actually just about to celebrate our 5-year anniversary of micro E-mini futures in May. And currently we trade about a little over like 2 million contracts per day only across this four micro E-mini futures and CME. So it's pretty liquid and also very accessible. And you can actually easily express your view on the equity index market in the US using this micro E-mini futures.
I think now that the micro product has come out, I think it's brought a lot more people into that space. So I think it was a really clever move by the CME. And what's the difference between the micro E-mini contract as opposed to the E-mini contract, which it's probably been one of the oldest futures contracts
Yep.
around.
That's actually a very good question. Like this micro mini futures is kind of a smaller size contract, but outside, other than the contract size, everything else is actually just the same as E-mini, futures. So you
Yes.
actually get all the benefits of E-minis, which is the most liquid like index futures in the world, and with a kind of smaller trading size. So it's kind of a lot more accessible and also give you more flexibility. It could be you can actually provide better precision for those who actually want to be really precise or want to manage the tail risk. And also it kind of give you a power of leverage as well. And potentially because the contract size is small, the trading cost could be actually cheaper than like trading like stocks or ETFs, other equity products.
Yes. Yes, and I'm sure the margins are a lot lower as well to be able to trade those types of micro contracts as well, which is
Mhm.
good if traders want to hold overnight positions as well. That's a big advantage as well.
Mhm. Yeah. So, well, I can also touch about the margins, if that is something that will give you a little bit of sense of how easy to trade this one. So I'll
Absolutely.
show you like, one table which actually describes like, our full suite of micro E-mini futures. Currently, like, in terms of the notional value, because our futures are 1/10 of the corresponding E-mini futures. So the multiplier, let's say that micro E-mini S&P 500 futures, the multiplier is $5 versus E-mini is like 50, which brings the notional value down to like 26, 26,000, somewhere around 26,000 at current,
Yes.
futures price level. And
Yes.
if we actually look into the initial margin of these micro E-mini futures, usually it's actually around 5%, somewhere around like 5 to 7% of the notional value. So let's say that if you want to have an exposure to the Nasdaq 100, which is very popular for those kind of because it's a tech heavy index,
Yes.
the initial margin as of today is a little shy of like $2,000. So you actually carry the exposure of, let's say, over $35,000 using only 1,900, so about like $2,000.
That's great value. Um, just a little bit about the retail traders, like
Mhm.
as opposed to, I guess, the more commercial or the larger traders, institutional type traders. Is there, do you know the numbers of retail traders or the volume that retail traders would add to the market as opposed to someone like an institution? Is there any figures on that that's available?
Sure. So, as I briefly mentioned that, let's say that last year in 2023, our average daily trading volume across these micro E-mini futures were 2.3 million contracts per day. And out of those 2.3 million contracts, retail customers, kind of professional traders, takes about
Yes.
30% of that volume. So it's pretty
Wow.
big, and pretty big chunk of the volume is coming from the retail traders. And also because we are sitting in Australia, New Zealand, and in Asia, another information that I can share is that out of these 2.3 million contracts, somewhere around 11 to 12% of the volume is traded by Asia customers. And also, that our product is trading 23/5, so almost like 24 hours per day, like you can actually trade this product. And this is a US product, but you can expect like great liquidity during Asian hours. Approximately 24% of the flow is actually coming outside of the US, and also about the same percentage in average is traded during non-US hours, so outside of the regular US market hours, which includes Asian trading hours.
That's the great thing about trading futures. If you're a day trader, or if you're, trading longer term, it gives you that flexibility to trade certain hours. And that's one thing I've noticed as well as the liquidity or the number of contracts, the number of traders that are trading now, the volumes are just growing and growing. And is that something that I'm just seeing, or is that actually happening?
As I mentioned that more than about 22 to 24% of the volume in average is traded during non-US hours. So
Right.
it sounds small, but think about like 2.3 million contracts. So we are actually
Yeah.
talking about a few hundred thousand contracts. Yeah.
And that's always a question for people who get into a market. It's like, how liquid are these markets?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and there's no doubt that there's enough liquidity to trade these markets. And what I
Yes.
find as well, we find with our trading community, is that a lot of traders just specialize in one or two markets, and
Mm-hmm.
pretty much everyone I know specializes in at least either the Nasdaq 100 or the S&P 500 e-mini or micro contracts. So they seem to be the most popular contracts that are
Yes.
traded.
Yeah, I think that we also once did a while back that trying to compare the liquidity of these micro E-minis and the E-mini complex versus like Asia local index futures market. So
Yes,
ASX has SPY, and also we have very liquid equity index futures market in Asia.
yes,
Like it was actually it turned out to be our liquidity during Asian hours is usually greater than those Asian index futures market in notional term. And
yes,
so that what that means from retail perspective is that let's say that if you want to actually trade two indices, So like, US against your local index, like SPY,
Yes.
or US against Nikkei, US against like Hang Seng. There's always kind of liquidity that you can actually enjoy. And another beauty of trading futures is, as you are probably well aware, there's a no restrictions of the short selling because it's not a stock, it's not an ETF. So meaning that you don't need to worry about locating the stocks before you actually sell. So let's say
Yes.
that if you actually think about like, the market will like always kind of, it's good to see the market going up, but there is occasionally like, with the volatility and the market
Yes.
events, like the market might come down. And in that case, you don't need to worry about locating the stocks or kind of securing or lending borrowing in advance. You can just easily like express your view with these futures with like without any restrictions.
That's such an important point. And if there's anyone watching today and then they're fairly new to trading or sort of dipping their toe in the water, that's a very key point that you make, Mina, is that you can trade these markets in both directions depending on what you think the price is going, which direction it's going, whether it's going up or going down. You have the flexibility of being able to trade in both directions. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that brings me to my next point. It's like, what are the use cases for the E-mini equity indexes and the micro E-mini equity indexes? What type of traders will trade these markets or investors will trade these markets?
Oh, very good question. We really have various type of different customers coming into this market. For example, like, institutions, they have all the different reasons they might need to hedge their portfolio. They might do like any relative value trading, or they're kind of doing an index art. There's actually different type of like customers coming in. But from institutional traders perspective, the use case for the micro E-minis is usually to manage the tail risk because this actually gives you a more like better precision. From the retail investors perspective, it's actually probably the same. It actually gives you an ability to express your view. It can be long or short. Really, like depends on like U.S. market because U.S. Usually the U.S. equity index tends to behave as a proxy to the global economy because it's kind of tied to the U.S. economy as well. So whenever there's kind of market moving event geographically or like if there's any like macro events in the states like Feds or like any like GDP or even like, for the equities, the more important thing is that like whenever there's kind of like corporate earnings on a quarterly basis, the index
Yes.
tends to really like, fluctuate. And you can actually like, try to monetize or capitalize using these futures. And also, let's say that if you have like, you carry any stock baskets or ETF on the other side, you can think about like, kind of just like, to manage like, to hedge your like portfolio very effectively using this micro futures because also as we kind of like discussed in there like in previously this is actually like gives you like ability to leverage out, meaning that you only need about like less than 10% of the notional to carry the same exposure.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's such a great product, and we're very passionate about sharing futures with our students and also other people that are interested in learning to trade. It's such a powerful market to be in, and I'm just so surprised that more people aren't trading these products and trading other products. It's interesting. Now, speaking about other products, I know you're also involved with the cryptocurrency space as well. How long has the CME been involved with in the cryptocurrency space? So Bitcoin and Ethereum. Can you tell us a little bit more about those markets and how people can get involved with those markets?
Sure. Like CME has been in this space almost like a little over 6 years by now, and including
Wow.
the underlying index is actually like almost like a little over 7 years. Um, I feel that it's kind of like a very long time, but we have built a really established a like really good liquidity and good reputation, and like we always kind of try to strive for the reputation that CME is kind of like it's kind of like trustworthy and credible like venue to trade like crypto products. So CME actually we partnered with the CF Benchmark back in 2016 to develop the underlying index called the CME CF Bitcoin Reference Rate. And
Right.
that index, based on that index, we launched our very first cryptocurrency futures in December 2017, which was Bitcoin futures.
Right.
Uh, this underlying index is now you probably have seen a lot from the media about spot Bitcoin ETFs in the States. In January this year, there were 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs approved by the SEC and listed in the States. Out of those 11, six of them are using this same underlying index. So CME product has been part of this ecosystem, like not only futures but underlying index, and also now we have ETFs,
Right.
uh, gravitating toward this underlying index. So we are part of this ecosystem, building the liquidity together. So we started. That was the how we started this crypto journey. And later on, in 2021, we actually launched the Ethereum futures as well. And 2021, if you know a little bit about crypto history, that was the time that when Bitcoin was first time hitting 60,000, which was the previous record, all-time
Yes.
high back then. And
Yes.
that was the time that we actually launched the micro Bitcoin futures and micro Ethereum futures. And then we also launched Ethereum Bitcoin ratio futures last year. And now overall, we have all the different suite of futures and options and futures based on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Uh, they are we are part of this ecosystem, and we are also trading. Probably I don't know whether you have heard from the media in November October time last year. The media was reporting that CME is has become the exchange holding the largest number of open interest,
Yes.
largest dollar notional value of an open interest of Bitcoin futures, and
Yes.
which used to be Binance, and now we are the largest open interest holders. So that kind of speaks that how much of institutional investors and the professional traders, retails have been actually plugging into CME to trade a crypto products.
Yeah, I heard that recently as well, and that just gives extra credibility and underlying power behind the products that the CME are offering. So it is the crypto space has been considered a fairly unregulated kind of cowboy type place, I guess, for trading and making money, all sorts of scams and all sorts of things like that. But as a trader, if you want to look for a safe place or a safe venue to trade in these crypto markets, especially the stronger crypto markets like Bitcoin and Ethereum,
Mhm.
there's no better way really to get that exposure and to use it. Like, you can use this product as a hedge. You can use it if you want to buy and hold. There's so many opportunities with using these products if you're interested in the cryptocurrency space. So it's very, very exciting. Now, what products would a retail trader primarily focus on if they were looking to get into the cryptocurrency futures space?
Sure. Similar to our equity products, as I mentioned that we actually launched the micro Bitcoin futures and micro Ether futures.
Yeah.
So, these two futures, the contract size is zero point 0.1 Bitcoin and zero point 0.1 Ether. So it's actually more kind of suitable for the retail investors, professional investors, and who want to
Right.
carry the exposure to using futures at the regulated venue. Regulated venue is actually quite important when you actually try to think about crypto products, because it has been it's not TradFi industry. There are a lot of exchanges not regulated. So if you think about the safety, it's you have to be really careful choosing the right venue to trade. And also from retail investors perspective, this one because all our CME products are cash settled, so you
Mm.
don't need a digital wallet, and you don't need to
Yes.
buy the spot Bitcoin or spot ETF. You don't need to worry about where you should actually where to kind of save your Bitcoin or Ethereum or all the different type of tokens, which is also couldn't be secure sometimes, right? So
Yes.
CME, every the products, the way that we design the product is we kind of mimicked what we actually have for the financial products, because We have been actually in the market space for 180 years, and we never failed to get the money back to the customers. So
Right.
the way that we design the product is similar way. Everything is 100% cash settled, and you can find a broker. We actually put the list of the brokers also like, on the webpage as well, including
Yes.
like, you're including this platform as well. So like, you can actually pretty much ensure that like, this is where you have to actually like, carry your digital asset exposure if you want to be in the like, crypto space. And similar to I mentioned about the micro E-mini futures in the equity space. This one is a future, so give you a greater like, capital efficiencies. The leverage is not as like, I would say great as like, equity product because we also understand the like, risk because so we also manage the risk portfolio. So
Yes.
the leverage could be only about like 2 times or a little bit 3 times. Nowadays, like, our exchange margin stands at somewhere around like, north of 20%. It depends on like, market volatility as well. So probably like, in terms of the leverage, it could be like, way smaller than like, what you can expect from the traditional financial, like, products like equity products. But
Yes.
still, with that amount of exposure, you can actually nicely carry your exposure to like Bitcoin or Ethereum using these futures. And it's also tradable round the clock, 23 hours per day.
Brilliant. Yes. So for instance, the micro Bitcoin contract, if somebody was interested in that, for every point of movement or a dollar of movement, US dollar of movement, it would be equivalent to one US dollar on the for the futures contract.
Yeah. So, like everything else, because we do offer like standard size Bitcoin futures and standard size Ethereum futures, and
Yes.
everything else, like, the contracts back and like, everything else is the same. Just you have like, you can trade this like, Bitcoin and Ethereum futures with kind
Yes.
of like, smaller amount of money,
Yes.
because this is kind of just the only difference is the contract size.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. It's so good to know. Now, if anyone is interested to know anything more about the products that the CME have to offer, you can always go and check the CME Group's website. They have a huge host of educational products as well that you can learn about more about the other products that they do have. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us today, Minah, before we wrap up today's interview?
It's actually like, great opportunity for like, you and everyone like, like watching this like, video today that like think about like, what's coming and what's coming ahead this year. We
Yes,
have a US presidential in the like traditional financial markets. So you can actually always kind of like think about how you can actually optimize your portfolio and use like, futures to like, express your view like throughout this year. Because
absolutely.
there's going to be like, there's going to be like volatility, like, whenever there's kind of like news pops up surrounding this
Yes,
US presidential. And to the same extent, you probably have like heard a lot about like, Bitcoin in the past like 2, 3 months, because like, the price is actually like, spiking. We had a spot Bitcoin ETF event in January. And in the crypto world, there's a halving event in April, and also people
yes,
are waiting for the SEC's like decision about like Ethereum, it's like
yeah,
spot Ethereum ETF in May as well. So there are lot of events and where like you can actually think about, oh, how I can actually like, ride on this move and think about how I can actually manage our
absolutely.
risk and how I can actually manage not only managing my portfolio, but like, on top of that, how can I actually generate alpha? So all these things you can actually trade like, you can actually like, realize this like, what you want to actually do through this CME, like, futures, which is equity index futures or cryptocurrency futures. You can also trade in one account.
That's so good to know, and it's great when you can trade direct with an exchange. There's so much clarity. The data that's provided out of the exchanges, you can get through all the different data providers is clean. You get to see the volume exchanged. It's a very transparent marketplace and very credible. So it is an exciting time to be in the markets. I think we're going to have a very wild time this year in the markets, and there's no better time to be involved. And if you're new to trading, or if you're new to finding out the futures markets, really, once you get into the futures markets, there's really no other place you want to be as a trader. It's got everything you need. It's got all the products that you need, depending on your account sizes and your margin requirements and your goals. It's all there for you. So it's a great opportunity to be working with the CME and to be able to help get their products out to the world. So thank you, Minah, for coming in today and sharing with us your knowledge and wisdom, and hopefully we'll catch up again very, very soon. And like I said, if you need any more information on the CME products that they provide, you can go to the CME Group website, and we'll see you very, very soon. Thank you for joining. Bye for now.